In the 1930s, Pat and Harry Olivieri were running a hot dog stand in Philadelphia. It was a modest setup, just a small business, just selling hot dogs. One day, though, Pat wanted something different. He had beef on hand. He grilled it with onions and made something different than usual. A cab driver was going by and was intrigued and asked for one. He loved it so much that he told Pat to stop selling hot dogs and sell this beef on a new sandwich. Soon enough, cheese became an absolute essential. I'm going to wrap this for a couple minutes and... Wait! This looks Swedish. The Swedes didn't invent the Philly cheesesteak. No. But what if they did? The sandwich seems like the typical American comfort food, right? Rich, cheesy food that's liberal with calories. It fits right in with American-style pizza and burgers. How could it exist anywhere else? A lot of people in the Americas know very little about Swedish food, except meatballs. Are you thinking about meatballs? While a Swedish meatball sub with some melty gradused and lingonberry sounds interesting... What, you haven't heard of gradused or lingonberries? Okay, let's talk Swedish food. Sweden's culinary destiny has been strongly shaped by a few things. Firstly, just look at where it is. It's gonna be cold, especially in the north. Now, that's less so in the south. In the summer, the south is quite nice. For this reason, and others, there's quite a divide between northern and southern Swedish food. But, does it cheesesteak? Well, let's consider meat. You can see that in the North's hearty stews. Meats such as beef, pork, and even reindeer meat are common in these. And of course, yes, Sweden has meatballs. But what about cheese? There's a fair bit of them. Some with Emmental-like flavors like Crevé. Others are tangy, such as the gradused I mentioned, and everything in between. In my research, there's no Swedish cheeses like cheddar, and thankfully, no, cheese whiz. Okay, what about bread? Sweden loves its bread. From dark rye-laden loaves such as kavring, to cardamom bread, to decorative offerings like kanelling, and a ton of different types of flatbreads like kokaka and tunnbröd, to name a couple. So, bread, cheese, beef, sounds all convincing. But does Sweden sandwich? Sweden is no stranger to sandwiches, from shrimp ones to fish ones, and even sandwich cakes iced with cream cheese. Yes, smorgastorta is a thing. Commonly, these offerings have lots of mayo, dill, and onions. Most of the popular Swedish sandwiches are open-faced, though, because of historical reasons. Centuries back, a slice of bread was like your plate in Sweden. Sweden has some close-faced sandwiches and some non-seafood sandwiches, but those aren't the norm. That leads to the last major variable of our alternate history dish here: culture. Sweden's disposition towards open-faced sandwiches complicates this exercise. Because a cheesesteak sandwich is just too messy to be open-faced, we need to think of how this sandwich would be made close-faced, and so this is our scenario. Stockholm, 1952. A small up-and-coming family restaurant is starting the lunch rush. Amongst the local customers is a man visiting from the UK on business. With the help of a Swedish to English dictionary, he orders svamptoast. The dish is often thought of as a sandwich with chanterelles, parsley cream, and lemon zest. He receives it and is confused. He clumsily says to the waiter in broken Swedish, "Oh, I thought this was a sandwich." The waiter acknowledges his confusion and takes the plate back to the kitchen. The waiter and the cook share their frustrations over what they see as the customer's ignorance. The customer didn't know swamp toast is an open-faced sandwich, and the waiter felt like he couldn't explain it, considering the language barrier. The cook, not wanting to waste more bread, simply moved the mushrooms to one half of the bread, folded the bread over itself, and pressed it down. The waiter brings the sandwich back to the customer, and he looks delighted. Other customers stare over at the sandwich curiously. Customers start asking if they can order the same thing. This causes an issue. They rarely got so many swamp toast orders during the lunch rush, and they didn't have enough chanterelles to fill them all, but they didn't want to upset that many customers. The cook told all the waiters to offer it with half mushrooms and the other half steak, in a bit of a panic. Everyone loved it. The next day, the swamp steak smorgas, mushroom and steak sandwich, was on the menu. The sandwich very quickly became their #1 bestseller, and other restaurants started to copy it with some variation. Eventually, a spread of cream cheese and gradus became an essential element of the swamp steak smorgas. A swamp steak smorgas starts with a chewy rye roll. First, measure 240 milliliters of warm water, a quarter teaspoon of sugar, and 3 teaspoons of yeast. Cover your measuring cup with a plate and let the yeast bloom for 15 minutes. Next, you'll need 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, a quarter cup of rye flour, 3 tablespoons of gluten powder, and a half teaspoon of salt. Whisk those together and add 5 tablespoons of softened butter. You can either use a fork or just rub it in with your hands, but make sure to get it fully incorporated. The mixture should look like wet sand. Now add your yeasty liquid with a spatula to combine into a shaggy dough. Knead until you can stretch the dough paper thin without tearing. Once the dough is ready, form it into a tight ball and have it rise in a greased bowl for an hour. Then punch it down and let it rise for another 45 minutes.
When the dough is done rising, cut into 6 equal portions and roll each one into a log. Brush egg wash onto each roll, then sprinkle with sesame seeds. Bake these on a parchment-lined baking sheet for 30 minutes at 400 F or 200 Celsius until golden brown.
While thinly sliced beef sirloin is traditional, reindeer steak and even shrimp are common options as well. Whatever meat you choose, pan fry it in clarified butter until it's deeply browned. Cook your meat hot and fast with chanterelles and onions. This is the cheesy component of the sandwich. To make it, combine 2 parts of gradus cheese with 1 part of full-fat cream cheese, and mash the mixture with a fork until the gradus cheese is reduced to small stripes throughout, and finish with a sprinkle of parsley. Line your roll with the spread, add your meat, onion, and mushroom mixture while still piping hot, and an optional sprinkle of parsley on top of the meat, and wrap. After a few minutes, unwrap, and you have yourself a swamp steak smorgas, or what a Philly cheesesteak would have been if it were created by Sweden. Compared to a Philly cheesesteak, which I used to make them all the time, this is definitely a more bright flavor, I find, especially with the cream cheese there giving kind of that lactic tang. It is a nice cheese in there, the gradus. It's kind of like Havarti, I find. And the mushrooms are a really nice addition. They're very, very flavorful. A little bit earthy, but this is definitely interesting. So what do you think? Is this what a Swedish cheesesteak would be like? We'll never know, but it's always fun to guess. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Mikey Makes Seeds.